Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. So let's wait for more people to join in. Let's wait for like 3 minutes and then we will start. Hey, thank you so much for joining, Prossy. Hope you're all doing fine. So let us start right away. I'm not going to be able to turn on my camera, but Prossy and Sarah, you can turn it on in case you're fine with that. So this is our first Mjanga meetup, and it is being organized by Mjanga Technology. And at Mjanga, our goal is all about building or creating a disruptive future through top-tier software development, IT support, cybersecurity, and cloud services. So we build software automation and digital solution explicitly designed for solving problems, increasing efficiency, and streamlining operations to unlock uh, growth for businesses and initiatives. So, due to one of our core goals, we are organizing this meetup, and the theme is "Build with us, not for us." So, we've all seen, and in case you just go to most tech or innovation spaces, they normally come up with systems or solutions and then take them to the communities that they're building them for testing or just for research. But then these communities just come in as the last to just maybe tick to just check a checkbox that maybe the user research was done or we got some feedback from the users, but the communities are not involved from the start of the development. So today we are here to rethink the approach entirely. The session explores what it means to involve communities as genuine co-creators in the designing, development, and implementation of technology. So what we are asking ourselves today is what becomes possible, or what can we see, or what solution can we get when communities are involved, not as beneficiaries, but as partners when we are like from the very beginning of the development. So we aren't here to this session is not it's not going to be mainly as the normal ones maybe presenting slides, but you want to hear from the people who are working on such solutions. We want to hear from the people who are working in such spaces, and want to hear from the people who have worked on solutions that have involved communities from the start and to the end, and we want to learn from them how they've managed to do everything. So our first speaker is going to be Sarah. Our first guest speaker is Sarah Muwanguzi. She is a product designer and product owner who beautifully blends design, strategy, and storytelling to create deep, meaningful digital experiences. She has worked across both health and startup environments. She is passionate about building products that are intentional, intuitive, and family grounded in real user needs. And then the second speaker is Prossy Wanyana. Prossy is a tech educator and a digital empowerment advocate dedicated to helping women and youth safely navigate and thrive in the digital world. She has personally trained over 1,000 women in software development and digital literacy, helping many transition directly into tech careers. And she focuses heavily on making complex technology concepts accessible and actionable for everyday communities. So these are the speakers that we have today. So before we continue or start asking questions or discuss a lot about things, I'd want to give them a chance to introduce themselves to the audience. So let's start with Sarah. You can unmute and speak to us. Tell us about yourself. Everything.
All right. Thank you so much, Kevin. Can you guys hear me well? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. Okay, so pleasure to be here. Passionate about tech. I have a background in business, but somehow I ended up here. And just so you know, Percy is actually my mentor in a way because it's, courtesy of, some of the things she runs, like Code Queen, that I have successfully, grown in the tech space. And so far it's going well. I'm a product designer, but also a product owner. So I'm transitioning into the strategic side of things, to see that we are not just making interfaces beautiful, but it about me and what I do in the tech space. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. And yeah, yesterday I happened to see a picture of you two, and it was amazing that the two speakers that we're having today already know themselves, and this is going to really make the conversation so easy, I believe. So let's welcome our second speaker to introduce herself. Prossy, you can go on and introduce yourself.
Hello everyone. Prossy Wanyana here, and I'm really glad to be here. Hi, Sarah. Why did you tell me that you're coming yesterday? Yeah, Prossy Wanyana. I'm an educator who is like 70% not serious most of the time, but that's my character, and sometimes people confuse that with unseriousness, but that's not the case. So I'm an educator with almost a decade of experience. Don't let my looks fool you. I've worked with young people for quite some time. I've helped people build products, helped people transition to careers. And I myself, I can say really tech has been something that zeroed down with me when I was like 9 or 8 years old. So just like no one else, I really knew what I wanted to do when I grew up. Yeah. Apart from I want to grow up to be a teacher, that was not me. I just wanted to deal with computers from the get-go. And I've made it my mission to really work towards that for over the years. As they've read through my bio, I've really worked with women and communities in a way, and I've been able to skill up a bit so that I am fit to lead communities. I've learned relentlessly on what best can I give to help my fellow Ugandan women and men and other people that consult with me from different universities to ensure that these people that are a part of me and have come to me. Basically, that's me. and really thank you so much for inviting me, Manja. I know I've not been easy to get sometimes, but thank you so much for inviting me.
Welcome. And it's not easy to meet someone, more so in Africa and in the tech space, that when they were 9, they got to know that they want to be in tech. And the other thing that has inspired me mostly from you is that you got to know that you're passionate about computers and everything, and you did not stop there. You are currently working so hard so that other women, other youth can also be part of can also love tech. Yeah, so that's so inspiring. So the first question, so it's going to be like I'm going to be asking you questions, and then you let us make it flow easily. So you'll just give me the responses. So the first one is I believe you've all worked on projects, and is there a moment whereby a community member or a user of the solution that you created challenged your assumption? For example, you created an app with a free feature or a UI design with a certain feature, and you think that this feature is so important. But then the user just shows you that, no, we actually do not need this. This is so useless. So is there any moment in your experience that you faced this, and how did this change the way you think about designing, about building for communities and people? So I think let's start with Prossy, since her camera is already on. Oh,
Well. Yeah. I can't say I'm a victim of that per se, but because my character, I'm really user-centric. I really care about the people I build for. As I can say, like, I really understand tech and communities and products and all that. But I can still talk about some of the things that I've done, and I'm like, okay, I think I've shot myself in the foot. For example, we built Code Queen, I think, since 2019-ish. And the focus was to help women really transition to tech and employment. So the focus was tech this, tech that. Let's, help the women transit to getting jobs remotely. That was the goal. Now, there, I can't say that we didn't think about community. What we didn't think about was the Ugandan way of doing things and what defines not Ugandan users, Ugandans per se. So when you're building something like that is in the educational space, you have to think beyond technology because, first of all, we're pumping them technology here, and then we realized between the cohort, it was not yet done, that Ugandans, I do not want to smear a bad name, but it goes without saying that somehow we are lazy people. We do not want to do things by ourselves. And we do not, from the cultural raising bit, we Ugandans, we are like soft people. We are not aggressive, which is really bad sometimes because when you're wanting to join the tech space or any other business, educational, employment space, if you're going to take yourself humble and downplay yourself or downplay what you can bring on the table, you're going to be a stepping stone for other people. You find like people will just steal your ideas, take your credit, because this is your boss, you're fearing to say something, And we realized that, and we kind of had to add in soft skills. How do I present myself? How do I talk to people? How do I approach people? These simple, nitty gritty things help us understand that they help us in employment, if you're going to pitch, if you're going to, these different things. So that's where I can say, like, one of the things that where we had not planned. And another part is when I was on the project of MasterCard and Light of the World, is it? Yes, Light of the World. So this project is a PW project, people with disability. And yes, I don't have anyone with people that is disabled in my family, in my line of ancestors and beyond. So I had no clue about that. Yeah. Apart from empathy and stuff like that, I had never dealt with people with disability to the closest of proximity. So here we were, and we were going through these communities. And apart from teaching and stuff like that, I also help people run businesses. And that's where my expertise was in this, because MasterCard was funding these women and men to start up businesses to develop independency. So, but then what I didn't realize was like these guys are extremely dependent on their guardians. Are they called guardians? Yes. So, and that is a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. So, money would be dispersed to go to these guys, and the guardians will get this money and it disappears in Nyanya money, and so by the time we go back and nothing has happened, and we did not know that actually when the money is dispersed, we need to take precaution and follow up relentlessly to make sure that these guys are not eating the people with disabilities money. So that was one of the things that I learned, and like I had to realign in the middle of the whole project and create guidelines on how exactly the organization I was consulting for changes their concepts of how they should approach with people with disabilities. So I had to go off the script that they had given me to run because things were not working. Yeah, so that's one of the things I can say. But with products, I can say I'm always spot on. I don't know about you, Sarah. Over to you. Yes.
Yeah, so for me, from my experience, I've had those situations where it's like, yeah, you've thought and you're like, yeah, this is it here. My thought process is killing it. And, like you legit tell someone like, no, this is not making sense. Or we don't need this. And of course, this used to happen a lot, especially when I just started designing. I don't want to say that I get it perfectly now because I keep on working on different things. So different things means that I've not actively done the things that like whoever I'm designing for, I'm not doing what they're doing, you get. So I'm kind of learning on the job what they want and all of those things. So yeah, what maybe I learned or how I go about those situations is that when it comes up, I'm like I got used in med, I'm like, hey, I can come up with your idea and it's okay if it's not the one that makes sense. You get the moment you start putting emotions and feelings in these things, you have failed at the job. Yeah. That's how best I say I handle those kinds of situations. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And one of my mentors normally tells me that don't get too attached to the solution. And the way that
Yeah.
when someone gives you feedback, you'll be like, no, but this is what I wanted. This is the feature that I wanted. So you have to don't get too attached and always
Yeah.
expect the changes. Yeah. So the next question,
Yeah.
that was supposed to go to Prossy, but I believe that she has answered it. But let me ask it so that in case you feel like there is more to add, you can just tell us more. So what are the most mistakes? And yeah, I've seen you at Code Queens and everything. What are the most mistakes that innovators or researchers or developers do when they are trying to engage with communities? For example, the example that you've given us with the MasterCard project, like what are those mistakes that you've left out that most developers do or researchers or anyone when they try to reach out to communities?
Yeah. So one of the most problems that we do as innovators if we are trying to engage with a community, it's not knowing what exactly do I expect from this community per se, and why am I approaching it in the first place. So if I've built a product with Sarah and we are taking it to Makerere University and we are going to pitch it, I really first need to understand these are students. How much money do they make? Do they even have money per se? And what do I expect from them as an audience? And with that, for you to fully understand the community that you're trying to approach or to build, you need to have kind of like an end goal. And most of the time, we as Ugandans, we never have an end goal to anything. We are like, oh, we'll go, move with the flow, vibes here, we'll get there, But at the end of the day, truthfully, it doesn't work like that. From my experience working with different people from all over the world, one of the most strict people, mostly Europeans, this landed me in trouble 90% of the time. Because we are, I don't want to say laissez-faire, we are moving on vibes, and this is really risky most of the time. And another thing I can say apart from that, we approach communities mostly now, like Sarah can really tell you this. Before we put out a call for people to come through our community or to do one of our programs, we normally put out the what do you expect form. Yeah, because we have our own curriculum, yes. But then at the end of the day, when someone comes to you or you're approaching them, you know what you need from them, but you do not know what they need from you. So you have to kind of create like I've forgotten what it's called, but that kind of form of like, what do you expect from us? I know what I expect from you because I'm looking for you, but what do you expect from us? And also fully understanding from that, you will fully understand if you're building something for them or if you're having a course for them, what you need to add in that you didn't initially add in. Yeah. So this also brings me back to some of the products that we are using here in Uganda. For example, I don't know if any of you has used IFRIS. From my point of view, as a designer or as a user, I was like, I can bet this was not built by a Ugandan. Because we, as the people, we understand how we work. We consume content in a minimal way as Africans, as Ugandans, not everything in your face. Now that is like the Asian bit. The Asians consume content differently. They can deal with all the things like words everywhere on the screen at the same time, which is confusing to like now us here, like in Africa. So one that is like the next thing. Like if you don't fully understand the community that you're trying to build, yeah, like it's better not to even do anything at any point. You just leave it. Yeah.
All right.
Over to you.
So what I'm mainly getting from this is, okay, what has stood out for me is that what worked maybe something worked in some other country. Don't assume that it will definitely work in Uganda or the community that you're working for or that you're building for. So
that never works really.
Yeah, so let me now go to Sarah. I also have a different question for you. So how do you practically ensure that the community knowledge and the lived experiences are dictated or in the core features that in the core features of the product rather than just what it's like, rather than the screens just looking good? You know that this is mainly on the user experience side of it. Like, how do you ensure that maybe I'm building for this community and they normally do their thing like this? How do you ensure that the user experience in your app or in your design fit their experiences, fit their lives, so that they can use your product better?
Thank you. That's a very interesting question. So in design, UI UX design or product design, there's this thing we call UX research, right? And if you're ever building something and you don't do research, leave it. Maybe go and learn how to do research or, like get someone to do it for you. But if you do not research, you're not going to understand. And you see, like the example Percy just gave of, the Asian communities, they like their sites are usually overloaded. You can see with the different even shopping sites they have, it's a lot going on, which is not the same as this side, you get. So you have to make research to understand, but then also understanding, like you have to make research to find out the pain points, first of all, so that you're not there thinking, me, I think this is what works for person X, you get. And then also, human-centered design is, I think, something that's not talked about enough. And maybe just to explain it a little bit is that you also need to understand how humans work, you get, like how one would say, maybe I'm building an application where people track their habits, or an application where I'm helping people recover from this mental health thing and all of that. You have to consider what's in the mind of that person, what motivates them. If I'm trying to stop drinking alcohol, how do you motivate me to stop drinking? So, okay, maybe introduce a streak in the application. You know why? Because humans like to like to see progress. Like, oh, if I check off today that I didn't drink, even tomorrow, I have a streak of a week. That means I'm not going to drink again. I'm sorry I have to use that example, but I know it gets the point forward. Or just anything. So you have to do your research and then also take the extra initiative to understand people. How do you understand people? You need to be very empathetic. Also, you need to read books. You need to listen to podcasts. So these things do not just stop on I went and did a course in product designing and this is how Figma works, this is how you prototype this and this and this. I would say for me, interacting with people and listening to podcasts, I'm like, hey, okay, so the human brain is like this, you get. So even on a personal level, you find that even you start to understand why you don't follow through on certain things. So if you're able to understand yourself, you're also going to be able to understand how someone else works, and you'll be like, yeah, I would understand why someone maybe somewhere in the Far East cannot use this application because it does not make sense to them like that, because they come from this generation. You cannot convince my dad. Like recently, I said to my dad that you can use the Airtel and MTN app to send money. And like he didn't know, because for him he was used to like the typical dial *165#, you get. So you need to factor in all those things. Different generations have different things, and therefore they affect how they see things. And therefore, if you're building something and you want all those kinds of people to do that thing, have your application maybe, and also have the USSD code option, or maybe someone like our parents who are maybe boomers or Gen Xers that might not be, they'll think, what do you mean I'm using an app? Like to them, it may not even feel safe to use that because that's how they are thinking, you get. That's what they've known all their lives, as opposed to me, who is like, even food today, I'm like, you know what, I can just use Glovo, you get. So it goes back to really making research and being immersed in the research so much that you actually put yourself in the shoes of that person, because that's the only way you'll be able to think like them and therefore build for them, or yeah, which is with them at the end of the day. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that has also reminded me something that I learned from a startup school I attended, which whereby they emphasize during that research, they normally say that go and live a life of that person that you're building for, like by maybe spend the whole day with them or half a day so that you understand how they do this thing that you're trying to solve, because they already have some small solution. Maybe, for example, malaria. You might find out maybe they have some plant that they normally plant around their houses so that they don't get mosquitoes. So just go and live a life. Just go and be with them for some time and understand how this particular thing is done, how they do a particular thing, and then you will get a better way of solving it with maybe technology or a simpler way. Yeah, so I now have a question to both of you. And it is one of the things that is making projects so hard. So how do you normally handle situations whereby the community feedback or what you've gotten from the community directly conflicts your project timelines, your technology stacks, or even your budget? So how do you normally deal with that? I don't know who to start with, but whoever is ready can just speak and tell us.
I can take it. But before with that, I can first go back to what Sarah was talking about. The problem of people not doing research and other people building for you. Recently, I was on a project I was consulting on a project that was being built by the Swiss guys, but for MTN. And when I was reading through the project requirements and problems that they think we Ugandans had was that we had a problem of feature phones. Feature phones are these small community phones. Yeah, it was listed as a problem. I looked at the document and I'm like, do they understand what a feature phone is and what it's used for here in the midst of transactions? Because as much as, like, let's say the application exists, I've been using the USSD for a long time that even if I have the application, the first thing that comes to my mind if I want to send Sarah money is dial star 165. You get? So I was like, guys, this is not actually a problem. Feature phone is not a problem here. So, like, it looks at looking at things from a different perspective. You know, the guys who are building are not Africans. We, the Africans, were like, what? You think that is a problem? You know? Yeah. So now if I go ahead and look at the projects, I've forgotten that. What was I supposed to talk about? The other question?
So
If
my
you could repeat
question
it, please.
is, how would you handle situations where the community's feedback directly conflicts with strict project timelines, the tech stack, or even budget realities?
Okay. Now, thank God you're talking about that. I'm a project manager on a different project, consulting on different projects. And one of these projects used by people. So if you get a project feedback from the people are the bosses. You're not building these things to use them yourself. So, you know, when you said you have to remove feelings, you literally have to remove feelings as much as like feature centric or like beautiful your thought process was. If this thing is going to be used by people, human beings, you're building for the people, you're not building for yourself. So you need to first go back and look at, do I really need to put this feature in? For example, the project that we are building for was going to be, it's not was going to be, it is used by the people from the eastern part of Uganda, and it has been working well, and it's, you know, working very well. Our client went ahead and thought, I don't think we need to have this feature, and they removed it. And when they removed it, now the people were coming to us, we the project creators, and I as the project manager was like on the fire line at this point in time. But we are not the ones who removed it. It's our client who removed this feature because they are looking at our kids don't need to have phones to use this specific product. So we just get money, load on this product of ours, and the kids go to school, use it, come back, you know, it is offline, it's perfect. Now the client thought a different way and they removed it. And everyone was like, why the heck did you remove this feature? So at the end of the day, the backlash brings losses and all these other things. So you have to look at the budget is the list of your worries at this point in time. The timeline is the list of your worries. If this product is not going to work on the market, the users are the bosses. They give you feedback. So this feedback they give you is not like a it's not like a get go, like, because If it comes from more than one person, it comes from 5 people, meaning this is a whole different problem. If it comes from one person, you go back, look at your project notes, projections, where you think your feature is going to go. And also sometimes also now still looking at now customers' feedback. It also sometimes you also have to look at what you as a company's target is. Yeah, now I feel like I'm going to still now contradict myself. If let's say we are going to add in this feature, and this feature is going to first pull us back for like a couple of months, but in 5 years, it's going to be the best decision we made now. Then there you really need to go with your guts and, go ahead and build ahead if it's going to make sense. But if this feature that you're going to add on is going to cripple your project forever, then you need to listen to feedback. With feedback, you listen to feedback, you do more research, and then you make an informed decision. It's all about making an informed decision of, is this going to work in the long term? Is it not going to work because people are going to be like, no, these guys are not serious, we are running away? Yeah, it's all about taking in feedback and making an informed decision. Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
I feel like
Okay.
Prossy has mentioned everything. Especially the part where she said that, budget is like the least of your worries. Because it really is, like, at the end of the day, if you're doing something, it's very important that you factor in what the people are doing it for really want. Pardon? Can you hear me well? Okay.
Yes, you can hear you.
All right. I was saying that like at the end of the day, it's very important that what you're doing business and building stuff like application systems and all of that. The easiest thing I could relate it to is maybe the things we do in friendships or relationships. It's like if I've told you I prefer golden jewelry and you bring me silver, then what's the point? You get, okay, silver could have been cheaper, but like you could have saved more and gotten me the gold. I'm not saying silver jewelry is cheap. I'm just giving an example. You get, because I'm trying to make this understandable from something that we commonly do, right? If I've told you, like, so it's all those things. If you have a friend and your friend maybe their favorite color is pink and it's their birthday and you're giving them a gift, why are you giving them something that's maybe brown? You get, me, I like brown, but you may do, you get, you as a person, you may like brown, but the person likes pink, right? So even if pink is harder to find the pink, because at the end of the day they'll not be like, okay, fine, just bring the brown, because then the brown will not solve the problem, or in this situation it will not make them happy. So it's all those things really, like you have to put your personal preferences aside at the end of the day and just make sure that you work within what you have to make the user happy. And then also priorities, right? Usually you find that I could recommend maybe like 5 features. Maybe I'm the person you're doing the research for or you're building for, and I tell you, I want this thing, I want this thing, I want this thing. But then there's always something that's more important than the other one. So when you have, space, or when you have the opportunity to go back and ask the user, hey, what do you feel amongst these things makes the most sense to you? You're better off doing that. So at least you build on, okay, they need this the most. Then after that, okay, now let's look at now doing things like, let's look at now doing the other things that they may want, as opposed to you built the least important thing, but you're there and I think this one, yeah, but like at the end of the day, priorities for the user, not just for yourself. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you so much, Sarah. That's one. I think anyway, let me share about it. So when growing up, my mom normally tells me that you can get, like, in case you want something, there is always that option that fits your budget. So it's up to you to choose when when to choose when to get it. So in case it is a feature in this concept, in case it's the feature, in case it doesn't fit your budget, of course, try. In case you can, try to make sure that it can fit the budget, but in case it doesn't, just leave it. Maybe it will come up in the next versions. And then the other thing is the other thing that stood out mostly, I think, from Prossy is that it's not that everything that you get from research or from the community is that important. You can always leave out. You don't have to take on everything, because someone is just going to tell you something, and then for you feel like maybe this is so important, but it's only one person, and maybe this feature is going. It's not that important. First, concentrate on the important features or the important things, and then maybe that will come in the other versions. So before I ask the last question, I would love to open this to the audience in case the audience has any questions or maybe suggestions, or they want to add on something. You can please unmute, or you can use the comment section and ask those questions. Yes,
Thank you very
Innocent.
much. Thank you very much, Kevin, for this wonderful session. I must say thank you very much, Prossy and Sarah, for this vibrant discussion. When I was hearing Prossy talk about the overloaded design of the IFRIS, and then there was something about emotions and feelings, I couldn't help but laugh a lot. Mine is, I don't know, it's a bit, it will take us a little bit off our topic. It's just an observation that, and most, I think, most of Africa, there's a drive that has been led by the women, especially, I think, women in technology. We've talked about the Code Queen, that has taken up mostly the females are really doing a lot. In my mind, I'm trying to find out why is it that this space of technology, men are not really represented. And then two is that is it that we're not doing so much in including the men in this kind of discussions?
Chris, did you want to go first? Okay.
Yeah.
No, go
I
first.
want to go first.
Yes, over to you.
Oh, Sarah, you go first.
Okay. All right. Thanks. So you mentioned something about like the men being left out, and why is it women, women, women? I think why the agenda is as is right now is because the tech space is male dominated. Like I'm telling you, we like some of us who are like tech, enthusiasts and all of that, we're trying to do the most. But you still find that even when you go to work, it's like there's still a lot of men, right? Like where I work, we are just trying to push and but like for the longest time, I think I was the only female on the team. But you see, because the space is already male dominated, it almost feels like, yeah, you guys already have it going. So now let's vouch for women, you get? Because again, apparently, and I think anyway, there's something about how women do things, as much as also one would say, but women are very emotional and all of that. I think when women do things, they really do them super, super well. Personally, I get so much empowerment from being in women-only spaces where, the energies are up there and everything. You leave and you're like, yeah, I'm going to conquer the world, which is not the same way I feel about maybe male-dominated spaces, not in a bad way. But I would say it's because it feels like it's like the males already had it going. So and maybe if they decided to also do their own thing, which now would be as if weird, it would be as if misogynistic in a sense. I hate that it would come off that way, but that's how it would come, because it'd be like, what do you mean now, men this? Because already the space is theirs. It would be different if it was maybe and men in, I don't know, men in hair, something, maybe there it would be a different thing. But the fact that this space is already male dominated, it's like, yeah, let's give a chance to the women. So that's why, you know, and now at the end of the day, as a guy, it's up to you to like put in the energy and do the most and be in these spaces, because at the end of the day, you can either you start the movement, or you have to work on yourself, because now that's like, as a guy, they can only play that card of, but this only favors the females for like the longest time. Like you can only play that card for so long, because now it would be funny if you know, like you're working with women and women. I don't know if you get what I mean. And you know how men like their egos. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that. That's what I think. That's why I think the female agenda is being pushed more than for the male. Yeah. I hope I've answered the question.
Yeah.
Well.
Thank you, Sarah. I don't want to really divert too much from you. And still, you see, I've been running Code Queen for the past 5, 6 years, half a decade per se. And still, I would still now go back, if I can go back to my science class where I was at university. I've been a scientist all over my life. But still, when I go back to those classes, in my class were like about 30, 20 something women out of 100 men. So you still see like the numbers and the gaps really still exist. As much as they will push the agenda of women enter the science space, the STEM space, I'm not even going to zero down to technology. I go all the way to STEM and sciences. You'll find that we are being pushed when we get women in these programs. There is still issues that we face as women in these programs that maybe men may not understand. Now you find like a woman, for example, my code queen is going to wake up at home. Yeah. First, ensure the house is clean, breakfast is served, plan for, I don't know, all these small, tiny humans they own, all that right before they prepare themselves to go to work or to come to my class, you know? With the issue of dealing with all this, and on top of that, they have to add on work, they have to add on all these things. You find that at the end of the day, the things that they wanted to do become too much and they'll just drop out of tech altogether, you know, because tech is adding another barrier to that. Sciences are adding another barrier to that. These things need your mind to be really sharp and you're thinking ahead and you, like, it's too much. So by design, it makes women to deal with way too much. I'm not saying men are not dealing with too much, but it is different for women. In the space that I'm in as a woman in tech, I have really started showing up and being extremely dominant and putting my point across, and I have to shout my credentials across the room. I don't know if you understand that. Like, one time I was on this project where these guys saw to me, and this one man told these guys that they should pay me $300, where the person was these guys were willing to pay like 3K, but this guy is looking at me, he's like, this is a woman, I think we should pay her this. So you look at leadership, you look at employment, you look at all these other different things. Yes, we are trying to build spaces for women, but we have to go an extra mile, that we have to ensure that the women that we're building this space for, mostly in tech, they understand more than tech. They have to understand, how do I dominate the room once I enter it like this? Because you walking in as a woman, that's like minus one already. You find there is a company who's going to look at the woman and is like, Kati, this one, we are going to give her a job in 6 months. We've invested in her this And then in 6 months, she will want to take a leave of 3 months to go and give birth. And then, like these are the different layers that we as women have to jump over for us to be um, recognized. So at the end of the day, yes, I know we have kind of attained some equality here and there with the most relentless investment there is for women in tech, but these are the different things that we face in life. And these are the different things that, you know, for example, if I called for a tech event and I called, guys, come and we're going to learn this in tech, I know, but innocent by yourself, I think you've been in that room and you can finger count how many women are there. And even the women that are there are not even willing to participate, even ask a question in that room. Yeah. So that's why you find like me as the code queen, I'll forever do code queen, purely code queen alone, because I know what women face. I know what it takes for a woman to sit on the table. It takes more than my credentials. It has to take also my voice. I have to be confident enough and talk about why I am sitting on that table when a man doesn't need to do that sometimes. Yeah, I don't know if I've answered your question. If you have another question coming towards that, I can gladly answer that. Yes, Innocent.
Thank you very much. That was well answered. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Prossy. I was just trying to pull your legs to just try to get the the perspective, and you've answered it very well. In my perspective, I think
Yes.
we have achieved that what they call the singularity. You know, the singularity where we were thinking that point where the AI, the machine, and the human intelligence interact. In terms of that singularity, I think in the tech space, I do feel that we have achieved that singularity. If you look at the cream de la cream of the women in tech, and then the cream de la cream of the men in tech, I don't think there is that much gap anymore now with the tools that we have. And yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think, Prossy. And continue doing what you're doing. Continue doing what you're doing. I've been in the tech space for quite a bit as well. I think I would say when I was hearing Sarah was talking about the parent being in the Gen X. Now I'm even getting confused. There's Boom, there's Gen X, there's Millennial, there's Gen Z, there is Alpha. I don't know now what
Yep.
comes in after. Yes, yes. So I think I came in at the point when technology was just coming up. And during that time, there was less representation of the females. But right now, I can tell for sure that the numbers of females now in the tech space, thanks to women in technology, the code queens, and all this stuff, you've been exposed so much now that I think there is now that aspect of singularity. But yeah, not to say that you should not continue with that drive. I still think that the society is still patriotic, but it's not. It's being male-led. But in terms of tech space, we have to lift our hands up, our hats off for code queen and women in tech, and we need more of those to still push such that people like us already know that women. I love to work with women because if I give an assignment to Sarah to do, she's going to commit to deliver that. While most times you'll find that if I give an assignment to a man, they will probably be running a number of issues, a number of things. So that's why I prefer to work with women. And indeed, Prossy, that is you're in a good take. But just to deviate from the aspects of gender, to just maybe just make a comment on the submissions, the presentation that you had. One thing that I got from my experiences of technology, I noticed, I don't know what you guys think about, is that most of the time when I've been given assignment to do or I'm working on a certain activity, the features that I spend so much time executing and I deliver, expecting the client to appreciate, most of the time it's opposite. The ones that I've barely spent most of the time to probably implement. Maybe I've taken like a tenth of the time, stands out more. Sarah talks about UI UX research. I don't know how that is even possible when you talk about UI UX research on the content. Like you say you're delivering a certain product, and when you're talking about the UI UX research, Sarah, do you mean from the perspective of coming up with an idea, or a client comes up, presents you a very unclear requirement, and then you proceed to do research? Or it is something that you were driving towards bringing in that idea from scratch?
It's I think option B, right? Like if you come to me and you told me I'm building, maybe I want to build a system that helps people with parking, for example, right? That's your thing. But then like that's the idea. You have whatever reasons. Then I need to now go and do now your UX research is basically to understand the user. For example, if let's say the system is for maybe people paying for parking tickets and all of that, you need to know what kind of person parks the car. Can be anyone. It can be me, it can be my brother, it can be my dad, different generations, right? So therefore, that also now informs the, should I say, execution of the idea. Think of it like how, and I'll use steel parking as an example. In Uganda, when you let's say these days we have all these things of when you get there, the camera, blah blah, like at Acacia Mall, and then maybe you have like the first hour free, and then after that you can pay for parking. So to pay, there's the option of cash because they know there's maybe someone like, let's say again, a Gen X or a boomer who is just like, what do you mean by mobile money? But I'm not saying that I wouldn't choose cash. I'm just saying that someone like that is more likely to pay cash than maybe someone like myself. But both of us are driving cars. Both of us are going to park in the Acacia Mall basement, you get. Then they'll say, but you know what? These days we are also like physical cash, like very have physical cash. So it would be nice that if you're doing something of that sort, you also add an option of, by the way, idea is we want people to pay for parking. You who pay, but because now I'm taking on your project as the designer or the product manager, whatever it is, I need to understand that the people we are doing this thing for, how do they like to go about life, which goes back to the human-centered behavior thing I mentioned earlier of different people, different behaviors, different stages in life, different behaviors, different actions. Therefore, they that maybe accommodates all of them. In this case, because you have many people that are going to use the same thing, then you consider that. You may find that sometimes, even if maybe, let's say you're building a website for like a school, like a kindergarten, as much as it's the kindergartner that you want, the child, the toddler, the decision maker is the parent. You get, therefore, if you're doing the website, you need to consider what is going to convince the parent, what is going to convince me as Sarah to take my child to your school. Okay, do you guys have this daycare stuff? How does it go? You get, so that's what research looks like. Yes, the school, the beneficiary is the 3-year-old child, but the decision maker is the parent. You get, the decision maker is the guardian. You get what I mean? So knowing all those things, it kind of also informs the way you go about building something for whoever you're building it for. Yeah. And then therefore it plays into the business side. And at the end of the day, everyone is happy. Yeah. I hope I've answered you well. Have I answered you well?
Yeah, you help.
Yes, Sarah.
I know that you
Alright.
can hear me.
Yeah, can hear you.
Okay, so uh, we wanted this call to end by 3, but let me ask this very last question to you, and then we end the call. So this is to both of you. So in case you had one practical lesson or an insight or recommendation that you would want the developers or innovators or anyone here on this call to carry out in their work about building maybe technology or solutions for communities, rather than like building for communities rather than just building for them, but building with them, like which recommendations or practical lessons would you tell them about building with communities?
Okay. So as we close, I would speak as a Ugandan living in Uganda and building for Uganda. So one of the things that we as builders, as community, as people, as creators, we need to do, we need to first invest in ourselves. Mostly as Ugandans, we need to first build our personal brand, build ourselves, understand how to do business beyond Uganda, to do business beyond our community, how to interact with other people. Yeah, so if you're going to build for the community, you have to understand it. By understanding the community, you need to research, you need to read, guys. We Ugandans, we don't read books. Read. We procrastinate a lot. And one of the best books I can recommend right now is Eat That Frog by, I don't know who it is. I've forgotten the name, but Eat That Frog is one of the best books that can stop you from procrastinating. So invest in yourself, in your network. Try to network with people that are beyond you, the people that you aspire to be as. Network with them. Be on LinkedIn, find them. Join communities that you think are going to add a stepping stone on you. Yeah, so you can see we have like different communities here in Uganda, maybe the JavaScript community that normally meets at Africa is Talking. We have Google Developer Circles. We have like different communities here, very many. You look at communities that build ladies, the firstborn. I've seen like different things, depending on what you're interested in. For you to build a community for yourself, you have to also first research, understand how different communities work, BNI, what is there, spend money sometimes to be in these communities. When things are not free here in Uganda, people don't want to attend. Yeah. So are you going to meet the top most CEO of MTN when you're not investing? Yeah, then these are the different, circles that you can only meet them when you've paid, you know? So self-investing in yourself, yeah, I don't know if that English works, but you have to invest in yourself. Yeah. Also, one of the other things is that I've seen with us Africans is not talking about what we do. Why are you building in corners? Yeah. Have you seen how these Zungus post their thing? They are just thinking of one idea. They're making noise for us on the internet, and then before you know it, people are investing in their project even before they build an MVP. Like, guys, talk about what you're doing. Even if you do not understand, the understanding will find you there. But if you're building in the corner inside your room here in Ukungu, where in the village where I stay, no one is going to know what you're working on, and that is like one of the most factors that stop us from going far as people building for the community. Because if I'm working on an application that is going to help my people get employed, which I am, by the way, which I am, and I'm not talking about it, at least give hints of guys, I'm building this. These are the problems I've seen in my Ugandan community. And this is, so people get people excited about you as a person, get people excited about your product, we've seen people hyping some of their products, but we know they are, I don't know how to say it without being offending. We know, the people who are using them, we know, this product is a no, the product is, but they talk about it. And now people out there who want to invest in them, they know about them because they've seen them online. So I'll keep on talking about we as the people, human beings, we are social people. Yeah. If you're not social at times, like when I stay in my house for a long time, I feel like there is something missing, I've not blended, so you do not know what is trending. If you're working as a UX designer, as Sarah, if you've not interacted with spaces where people are building, you blunder. Somehow you find like this product was last used, even it was discontinued like 1,000 years ago, and for you, you're still flaunting, talking about it here online. People are like, side-eyeing, like, is this the right speaker? So at the end of the day, it's before we even think about building for the community, we have to think about building we as the people, as yeah, you get the point. Okay, over to you, Sarah.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I think for me, I would say one, it's very important to stay curious. Yeah, stay curious and don't ever be there and think you know it all. Like the moment you think that way, you are cooked, as the Gen Zs like to say, like it's over for you in simple terms, because then you'll not understand, you'll not know the importance of like interacting with other people again, like Percy mentioned. So you need to stay curious. You need to know that I don't know everything and it's fine. Like it doesn't discredit what you know, because also you know something that someone else doesn't know, but you need to be able to allow yourself to learn more things, move with what's moving, you get. Allow yourself to also, what's it called? To try out different things, right? One would say, oh, you know me, I'm so fixated on fintech and all of that. Yeah, it's fine, but you may find that maybe there's a calling for you in healthcare, somehow. And like you need to be open-minded. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. You need to be open-minded. That's how you can be able to build things that make sense to, the communities. Then again, like Percy mentioned, I just want to elaborate further on the things she talked about for investing in oneself, especially when it comes to like going for events. I personally, I think from last year, I made it a point to go for more paid events than free events. So it's very hard to catch me at a free event. Not because I don't want to be there for free, but I also know there's so much value in being $50, $30, $100 to be part of something, or 100K, okay, in Uganda, whatever. Like there, the energy is different. I'll give you an example of there's something I attended recently. It was a free event, and no shade to free events. I think it's good, by the way, if it's done for the right reasons. Because there are also times when people organize these things and the agenda is just for, yeah, we know we shall get funding here, so we eat the money. You get, please, if that is what you have in mind, Tuja kugwa, I have to say this in Uganda, we shall know that you're not up to actually building the community. You're just there for, maybe you're hoping that you get some funding from Mjanga because they're, community driven and everything. We shall know. The truth is we shall know. We might not tell you, but we shall know. But I went for this event. It was free and it had good speakers, but the execution was off, right? And I told myself, you will not catch me in this space again, right? But then if I tell you an experience I had from maybe the last paid event I went for Toastmasters. I think Toastmasters is the last event I paid for this year. And the energy is different. Of course, there's good food usually when you've paid some money, the food is more, but me, I'm not usually not there for the food. But you find that even people who are there, like you also like, oh my goodness, well, this is how I need to introduce myself, or this is how I need to go about this and this and that. You get, when you're out there with other people, it shows you the little things about yourself that are missing, right? I always tell people, when you're job hunting, when you're doing something, go and interact with people, because you'll be there in your house with you and your broke friends. You're there, you're quiet. The opportunities are outside your freaking house. So get out, and then you get to find what other people are working on. That way you can also be able to contribute to like different projects and all of that. Like you actually get to understand what's happening. But the moment you think, no, for me, how can I pay 50K to attend an event? How can you not? Like in this economy, 50K can not actually solve your life's problems. It cannot fuel your car, it cannot pay your rent, it cannot pay for your borders every single day of the month. So why not just invest in yourself so that you get to learn from people that are more experienced? I feel when you invest in yourself, it makes you a better person at the workplace. It makes you a better person on a personal level. Like even you start feel like, okay, yeah, now this, and this. You get to contribute to things better. You get to manage people better if you're a manager. You get to be a better employee. You get to be a better friend. So if you're able to improve on yourself, you'll find that that kind of growth will transcend into the things that you're building, because now you're not building from hey, how is this going kind of perspective. You're building from a, oh, okay, why are we doing this? Is this important? Like, why should we consider this? You get, so I think that's another thing I would say about, as much as it seems like it's coming from far, but at the end of the day, it's one of those things that you do, you keep on doing, that eventually compound into you becoming, someone important in maybe the tech space or in your community or in your family. I don't know. Yeah. So that's about it really. That's what I would say about this whole thing of building for communities. Yeah, and let it come from your heart. Let it come from your heart, not I think this, and this, and this. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Wow, that's so brilliant. And that brings me to talk about, like, there are always ways of learning. You can either learn by experiencing something or learn from others. And the simplest thing is to learn from others. So putting yourself out there, attending those events, meeting people who are so experienced, people who are so experienced I think it's the easiest way to learn compared to doing the same mistakes that they did. And yeah, thank you guys for really, you've made this, I didn't expect this to be this way, but you've made this meetup uh great. And I've learned a lot of things. I've written down a lot of things. I don't want to go through them because it will be like I'm repeating what you guys have said. But thank you so much. Thank you for sacrificing your time and telling us. We've really learned a lot from you. I believe whoever is on this call is whoever is creating or solving a problem who is solving a problem has learned a lot of things from you guys. And they are going to do the right thing. They're going to follow the right steps of solving a problem. They're going to involve the community they are solving for. So I would love to really thank you, Sarah and Prossy, for coming on call. It's a Saturday and I know you have plans, but you just sacrifice your time. And you sacrifice your time to be here. And I would also love to thank Mjanga Technology for hosting this powerful event. And finally, thank everyone who is on call. And I believe you've really learned a lot. My only request to you is to go on and implement what you've learned. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining. I would love to call this meeting to an end. Have a great weekend, and I wish to see you in the next meetup that we are organizing. Thank you so much.